What is going on, everybody? So I am at a tank right now, Aquarium. I'm actually at a business. It's a retirement home, and they have a lovely tank that we recently took over. It was having some struggles, they were telling us, but we've had this tank now, and we're slowly trying to make changes to it. But it's been rough, it's been up and down. So I'm gonna show you guys that aquarium in a second. But first, I wanted to talk about, a lot of customers come to me and they're like, look, I have soft corals, are doing great. I try, some LPS corals, they do okay, but I cannot keep SPS corals. And they ask me why can't I keep SPS corals? So I have an example of a tank where the customer really desperately wants to keep, monopora and things like that, but it's just not working out for him. So I'm gonna take you guys to that tank right now, and we're gonna go over why I personally think that he's not able to keep SPS corals in his aquarium. Then after we're done there, I'll take you back here and we'll go inside and I'll show you the aquarium here and why it's struggling as well, and what we're doing to remedy the situation. All right, so here we are at the customer's house. This is a nice little corner tank, old school style. You don't see these that much anymore. But let's go ahead and take a tour and see what we have here. So we have mostly softies in this tank. It's like 90% softies. We have some Paligrandis, we have some other Pallies, different types of Discosoma mushrooms. You have your reds, your greens. But the soft corals are doing great in this aquarium. Like, they're growing like weeds in here, which anybody knows softies are pretty easy to take care of. They don't require too much. And then in the back there, we got green star polyp that's just taking over that whole back area there. Some more zoas far back, if you see that right there. Those are growing like crazy. That started with just a couple of heads. Big toadstool that hasn't opened up yet. The lights, like I said, the lights weren't on before I came here. Cabbage coral, an anemone tucked in between there, which wasn't doing good, but it seems the color seems to be better on it. More Paligrandis on the bottom. So you got some coralline algae along with some sponge growing there into the sand, which is kind of cool looking. Some eagle-eye zoas that are on that rock, on a little island. Those look okay. I just recently moved those out because they were kind of tucked underneath. And then some other bright orange zoas up top. Now today I just added this Monopora setosta as like a tester coral for SPS. He hasn't had much luck in the past with Monopora, but I wanted to add this frag as like a little tester coral to see where we're at. And I also added this gold hammer because his other hammer is doing really good in this tank. Before he could not keep hammer corals, he could not keep Euphyllia corals in here. But we've gotten the tank under control and it's doing much better, and he's able to keep hammer corals in here much better than he did before. Before there was like the hammer, the polyps were bailing out and everything. So the fact that they're able to thrive in here is encouraging. But one thing I'm starting to notice, and I'm sure you guys notice too, is if you look at some of these soft corals, they're very, very long. Even the mushrooms are supposed to be flat to the rock. Everything in here is stretching for light, reaching for light. So that's one thing I'm starting to notice in this tank, is every single thing in this tank is just stretching for light. Even like the mushrooms, they're not flat. Yeah, look at that. Look how much that's insane how much that's stretching. So these are the areas that are shaded and not getting crazy amounts of light. And the corals obviously are trying to get to that light because they need that light to survive and to be healthy. And even these pallies, which are in the center of the tank where the light is shining the most, and these they're still stretching. All these things should not be this long. All these corals should not look this long. So that's right there an indicator that there is not enough light in here. So I'm gonna have to check his lighting schedule and see what's going on there. All right, so I made some adjustments to the light. What I did was the UV was actually at 0, which is very strange. So I increased the UV, let there be some UV. I increased the blues, the royal blues, the regular blues, from 50% all the way up to 75%. Eventually I'd like to try to get a little bit higher, but for right now I just want to make the changes very small to not shock the tank. Add a little bit of white, and again added some UV. So what we'll probably notice within this week, which I communicated to the customer, is we'll probably notice that the glass will get a little bit browner. You might see a bit of bloom of algae in the tank, as far as brown algae on the glass. That's normal with increased lighting. That's going to help that bacteria reproduce quicker, and it's going to settle on the glass. But the tank it'll work itself out. No big deal. But all the corals are stretching. I'm wondering if this week we're going to start to notice the corals kind of go down and settle a bit. The tank is underlit. It needs probably another prime on there at least. Kind of separated a bit to a more even spread over the tank. Hopefully we can make that happen. I'll try to talk to the customer, but you know how things go. We'll see. But just making this adjustment, I'm gonna keep an eye on the tank. I'm gonna communicate with the customer this week and have him keep an eye on the corals and give me feedback so I can see. But you know, I really think that this is going to help the corals. They're not going to stretch so much. Maybe we'll see better color, and hopefully finally that monopora, he can start keeping SPS corals if we can get this lighting situation figured out, because everything else is just it's perfect, and this tank is mature enough that it should be able to handle SPS now. All right, here we are back at the retirement home, and we're going to go inside in a second, but I just want to give you a quick rundown on the aquarium. This is a job that we took over, and we did not set this tank up. We are making small changes to it to get it to where it needs to be. Now we are on a strict budget. Obviously, we only have so many funds allocated to make this tank where it needs to be. But let's go ahead and go inside, and I'll go over the rest with you. All right, so here we are at the tank, and it's looking pretty good. It's a little kind of lacking of coral. Probably needs a little more fish too, but everything's doing really good. Leather coral's doing good. Look at that anemone stretching out like that. Coral's looking good. Blue mushroom, a little bit of green on the rocks. We're only here so often. We are getting a little bit of cyanobacteria. 2 little carpet anemones there. Got a nice little zoa right there. Looking good. That's growing pretty nicely. Duncan coral. Encrusting coral's not doing extremely well. What's really doing good here in this tank is the soft corals, and then just anemones are just taking off. There's one there. I think it only started off like 2 anemones, and then you got all these right there, and then the star polyp just encrusting all through here, which I honestly think, you know, I'm okay with the star polyp kind of taking this whole area. I love the way this looks, like bridged off of there and then growing up to the overflow. I think it looks great. And then some blue mushrooms right there, and that's the other one that was over there. It kind of fell off of there and it rolled over there. So those are starting to spread. Maybe some red mushrooms would be nice in this tank, because those would probably do really well. I'm thinking softies, all stuff that's kind of easy to take care of, especially with these anemones in here. They make me nervous, and if we're not going to take these anemones out, if we are going to keep them, which I think we will, we probably need something that's going to be able to withstand that sting of the anemone. Now this tank just underwent a treatment for green hair algae because it was a bunch of algae in here. There was a little bit of overfeeding going on, and it caused an increase in nutrients, and unfortunately it caused an algae bloom, and that's why we're starting to see some of this, you know, some of the rocks looking a little bit dirty. A little bit of detritus around here. Maybe I think some more rock flowers would be nice too. Well, we have some more cyano back here, so possibly a cyano treatment. But I think today I'm gonna concentrate on brushing off the rocks and sucking out as much of this stuff as I possibly can, because I think we're just having since the algae's dead, I think we're just having the cyanos now capitalizing off of that. There's a decent amount of it too in this tank. So yeah, look at all this detritus right there. So we'll do a gravel vac. We'll get some of that out. But this tank definitely needs more coral, definitely needs more going on. What do you guys think of the scape? Is it nice? I mean, if we're just looking at the anemones alone, they are just massive. They're huge. It literally is in the middle and then it's touching the glass. That's how big this thing is. But definitely this tank needs work. And that's where we come in. Now there's a coral beauty in here, which I don't know. We gotta be careful because he could potentially pick on stuff. That's another reason why I want to just kind of keep the corals simple. But look, that Duncan coral was higher up, and the anemone was stinging it, and like it lost a bunch of heads. So I think we got to stick to stuff that's gonna be able to tolerate the anemone sting, or at least if it gets stung, we'll be able to recover, be a little bit tougher and be able to recover a little bit better. Because they really love the anemones and they want to keep the anemones in here. Probably another colony of zoas would be nice, but right now for today we're just going to go ahead and clean up this tank. It just had a major change to it, so there's a lot of detritus and leftover gunk, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that today. But I really wanted to get your guys' opinion on what else we could put in this aquarium. Sorry about the reflection, it's pretty bad in this room, there's a lot of light. But hear what you guys have to say about what we should put in this tank because I think it has the potential to look amazing. Look, there's even an anemone underneath there. Holy moly. We actually might end up having to take some anemones out of this tank. So this is how much gunk I just took out of that tank. Now keep in mind, this aquarium was filled with a bunch of green hair algae. All that died off. It released all this excess nutrients, detritus or whatever, into the water column. So doing a gravel vac, brushing the tank is gonna help get this gunk out, gonna help get this stuff in the water column. And then I just sucked it all out, and look how just murky that water is. Like, that is disgusting. That is crazy. All right, so I did a pretty significant water change today, and I just focused mainly on just gravel vacuuming and scrubbing and sucking out as much of this gunk and detritus left over from the green hair algae dying as I possibly could. Gonna definitely scale back the feeding on this tank. Like I said, we're here once a month. I'd like to be here more often, but today was a good day because we gravel vac. The sand looks much better. We got a bunch of gunk out, as you guys saw with that trash can, just murky water. But you can't do too much too quickly because you'll throw off the levels of the tank, and that'll stress the fish out, that'll stress the coral out, and then that can lead to some other issues as far as bacteria blooms and make the cyano and stuff like that worse. So we'll be back soon enough, and we'll make some adjustments here, get some cleanup crew in here, do some more gravel vacuuming, scrubbing, maybe take some anemones out. But I really like for this tank to kind of get better, and I think the best way to do that is adding more coral and taking some of these anemones out so we have room for other stuff. But again, this tank has potential to be awesome. All right, so let me know what you guys think about that tank. What should we put in the aquarium? Now, we need stuff that's going to be relatively hardy because, like I said, we're here once a month. So we need something that's going to be hardy, something that's low maintenance. They did have a fluctuation with the salinity levels because they did not have an ATO, but we just recently installed one, so that should fix that. If there's anything you think I'm leaving out, let me know. I'm thinking softies, rock flower anemones, things like that. Things that are very low maintenance and don't require a lot because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to this tank. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.